Hello, this is DC Hammer, and this is the DC Hammer Show. So, with all of the talk going around about the Green New Deal, or as I now label it, the Soylent Green New Deal, you would think that people are completely in a bubble, have no idea what's going on around the world, imposing the highest level of scrutiny and criticism to the environmental protections that have been put into place in the United States, while completely ignoring the total lack of environmental awareness, environmental sensitivity, and environmental action that's taken by the largest countries in the world. And no, if you're thinking that that is downtown Manhattan, or downtown Chicago, or downtown Los Angeles, you are sadly mistaken. Because the country of India has 7 of the 10 most highly polluted cities on this planet, and you're just seeing one picture from one of them. You will not see pictures like this on the Marxist screaming media, because they don't want any of those poor tender millennials and even the next generation after that who are being weaned from kindergarten on the mantra of please save us from this horrible destruction by clamping down on anything that's taking place in the United States as far as burning fossil fuels or getting from point A to point B in anything other than a zero emissions vehicle. Around the world, pollutants are being spewed into the environment at an alarming rate, and absolutely nothing that we would do in this country, in the United States, would impact it in the slightest, as these other countries such as India and China have absolutely no intention of doing anything to clamp down on the pollution that they themselves are creating. This is why President Trump correctly, when he got into office, put the kibosh on that Paris Climate Accord, which was only meant to punish the developed countries and to allow countries like India and China to continue pushing the pollution into the airstream without any restrictions. So that picture was from New Delhi, and that's a recent picture in New Delhi. And the study that was done, and you're not going to believe this, conducted by Greenpeace and Air Visual, and they found that this suburb of India, the Gurugram suburb of India, is the most polluted city on this planet. So I vote for creating an exploratory committee, have it chaired by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and have her pack up her other environmental lunatic friends and have them go off to where the pollution is actually happening. They can come back with a report and tell us exactly what we should do to clamp down on those environmental polluters over there in the country of India. According to the report that was done, around 7 million premature deaths will take place next year based on the kind of air pollution that you were seeing in that graphic from that suburb in India. So in addition to the lives cost, there's an enormous economic waste in both labor and economic terms. 18 out of 20 of the world's most populated cities are located in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. These are countries that, again, are spewing pollution, pumping the pollutants into the air. So I believe that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should lead a House delegation to these countries and implore upon them the need to stop cutting down their forests, stop burning those fossil fuels over there, and maybe they could burn clean, beautiful, clean coal like we're doing here in the United States, and stop cutting down our forests to burn the trees, as we do not do anymore in the United States. So everyone have their knickers in a twist over the pollution caused by the United States, which again is highly regulated, highly reduced from what the levels were 50 years ago, and continuing to head in the right direction with invention of things such as low emission vehicles and other steps taken by people that truly do care about the environment but are taking reasonable steps in order to improve it in this country. But at the same time, as the information comes to us from factsanddetails.com, China's Environmental Protection Ministry, I can't believe they actually have one, produced a report back in November of 2010, and that indicated that 1/3 of the 113 cities that they reviewed in their survey fell well below the air standards of that year. 20% of the population of communist China breathe air on a daily basis that's so polluted that it is dramatically reducing their lifespans and causing them daily afflictions such as asthma and other respiratory disease. And only 1/3 of the 340 Chinese cities that are monitored meet China's own pollution standards. And obviously those standards are far lower than the standards that are used by other developed countries, including the United States. As you can see from this chart provided from The Economist, it truly is time to clean up in China. So I hope that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is getting on the train to take the train from Washington, D.C. to Beijing in order to convince them that it's time for the communist Chinese to stop destroying the world with their pollution. In the last 20 years, the amount of sulfur dioxide pushed into the environment directly by the red dragon has gone up dramatically. And as this piece indicates, that China is the world's leading source of sulfur dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is actually a good thing because trees live off of that. I know the environmentalists are completely clueless about that fact, but that's a fact. But sulfur dioxide, on the other hand, is truly detrimental to the environment and causes cardiovascular disease and respiratory failure. And in addition to that, China's emission of nitrogen oxide, which is the main cause of urban smog, has increased 4% a year for the last 25 years. So you do the math, and that means that it has increased by 100% in the last 25 years. When are we going to stop having the environmentalists continue to have us ratchet down in the United States on what we're doing when gross polluters around the world are allowed to continue on their quest to continue to grow and create weapons of destruction, but at the same time spew out emissions into the environment which is killing us all, and it goes completely, number one, unreported, and number two, uncorrected. And then there's that favorite topic of people like Al Gore and Bill Gates, the ozone. And if you want to know exactly where the damage to the ozone layer is coming from, all you have to point to is the Yangtze Basin in China, where even their crop production has been dramatically decreased by the fact that when nitrogen oxide in combination with hydrocarbon emitted by those vehicles and factories in communist China are destroying the ozone layer. So let's put forward a resolution from the United States House of Representatives to take punitive measures against the Red Dragon, Communist China, for what they are doing to destroy the planet. And don't forget the particulates, which again, if you measure what's going on in China, it's off the scale as far as what they're doing to create urban air pollution. And that is caused by emissions from their vehicles, coal combustion, and factories and construction sites. And yes, all over Communist China, there are construction sites that are not run in compliance with things like the United States EPA would require. They are just throwing stuff up as quick as they can, and they could care less what it does to the environment. And you can believe that since the Chinese government apparently is monitoring exposure levels in some of their cities, and has been doing so for several years, but they've been keeping that data secret. I believe that's an indication that if we were to find out what that data would reveal, it would not actually say that China is complying with any worldwide mandate in order to reduce pollution. I believe it would say the exact opposite. If you want to take a look at a hockey stick projection, increased pollution, I believe that hockey stick is occurring right now in the den of the Red Dragon. And yes, there still is acid rain, not in this country, but in China. And they are burning a lot of dirty coal, not clean coal like in the United States. And again, they're continuing to pump out sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and those are the main components of that acid rain, Where are the environmentalists? I don't know what the life expectancy is for this poor worker at the coal plant in Linfen, China, but I don't think he'll get to the point where he can retire on Social Security if they have such a thing in China. And this gentleman doesn't look like he's very happy biking his way to work. But even as they ride bicycles instead of vehicles, not because they care about the environment in China, but just because they can't afford a vehicle, that's for the elite. That's the vehicles in communist China are for the elite rulers, the people like the Chinese equivalent of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Just so you understand how disconnected from reality the communist Chinese are, the Red Dragon, let me just read this last paragraph from this extensive report from factsanddetails.com. The Beijing government has even criticized health experts for taking health precautions to deal with the air pollution. When an American doctor at Beijing United Family Hospital recommended this month on his blog that people wear face masks, the Communist Party affiliated Global Times newspaper ran an article rebuking him. The newspaper quoted an anonymous doctor at Peking University People's Hospital saying, "The suggestion to wear air masks will make trouble out of nothing, as we've had polluted air for a long time, and we shouldn't be living with an American standard." So keep it up, American environmentalists. Show us that you're the biggest hypocrites on the planet, that as you continue to crack down and criticize the United States, try to compel us into agreements that would punish us and allow the biggest polluters on the planet to get away with murder. The murder continues. Thank you for watching, and God bless. And now the DC Hammer Show is available as an audio podcast. Just go to Podcast Garden or iTunes and search for DC Hammer or News Narrative Analysis Associates, NNAA.